What's up, everybody? On today's show, we hear from Hugh Freeze and Kalen DeBoer from the Senior Bowl. What did the two coaches from the state of Alabama have to say? Locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along on today's show. Some news from the Senior Bowl, and we'll hear from extended media availability from Kalen DeBoer and Hugh Freeze. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. And today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCollege. Get $20 off your first purchase. All right, let's dive into it as takeaways from the Senior Bowl getting started or underway this week, practices. And we're normally there, unable to be there this week, but obviously littered with SEC guys. And Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart, the two top quarterbacks at this year's Senior Bowl, and both struggled. They won a practice on Wednesday. Trevor Sikema wrote on his day one breakdown that Milroe's lack of accuracy and ball placement was much the same as what we saw over the last two seasons. They did not like his smaller hand measurements from this week. And as for Jackson Dart, he had a couple of fumbles during his first practices. Now, that came mostly coming from under center, which, of course, you know, so many quarterbacks these days don't take snaps under center in college. It's all shotgun. Granted, also dealing with a different center than you had in college. So Senior Bowl is always tough because you're going with guys that you don't have chemistry with in many cases. But Sikema also said Milroe's lack of accuracy, not too surprising given the issues he had during his two seasons at Alabama. Completed just over 39% of his pass attempts that traveled 20-plus yards down the field this past season. And again, Dart's going to have to figure it out. But Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders both expected to be the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. Neither are at the Senior Bowl, so a lot of eyes are on Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart, who could sneak into that back end of the first round. Other notes, Alabama defensive back Malachi Moore, he declared for the draft earlier this season, but on Monday it was announced he withdrew from the Senior Bowl. No reason was given for his withdrawal, but he did miss Alabama's ReliaQuest Bowl after undergoing surgery for an undisclosed injury. So it's possible that he was not 100%. But Bama had several other players there, as well as C.J. Dupree, Tim Smith, among others. Senior Bowl will kick off this Saturday, 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern. It'll be fun to see all the SEC guys out there. Now, a few other players, two Georgia players withdrew on Monday. Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson, two offensive linemen pulling out of the bowl, of the Senior Bowl. And then on Tuesday, Texas A&M D lineman Shamar Turner had to withdraw from the Senior Bowl as well. So we won't get to see him now. His teammate Shamar Stewart, the other D lineman from A&M, he spoke with the media and said, if I was a GM, I would take me with the highest pick you got. You don't want to miss this. So Shamar Stewart, making some headlines where his teammate Shamar Turner pulled out. All right, let's get into a little bit on Auburn. First off, Auburn football going to have a retooled quarterback room this year, and Jackson Arnold, one of those guys coming over in the portal from Oklahoma over to Auburn, and he's expected to be the Auburn starting quarterback. Hugh Freeze met with the media briefly on Tuesday. Figured we'd bring you a little bit of that courtesy of our buddy Zach Blackerby, who caught up with Hugh Freeze.
Everybody's been looking forward to hearing about your new quarterbacks. Talk about what you saw in Jackson Arnold to make him a guy out of the portal and what you've seen at Deuce so far on campus.
Yeah, I think Jackson just, if you go back to, his high school days, you don't get to become the Gatorade Player of the Year without a great skill set. And when I see, the way he functions with the fundamentals of that position with what we want to do, it's a pretty natural fit. And, obviously the unknown is, why he didn't have the confidence. And I just am a firm believer that I don't know, I believe in him. I believe in our system and think he's a really good fit for it, and we can restore whatever confidence he may have lost, for whatever reason. It's not for me to say, but I know that our receivers are like, this is different. This ball is a little is spinning the right way. They're saying that about both of them, Deuce and him. So believe in him, believe in Deuce. Deuce is, man, the maturity he's got is even after we recruited him, I still wasn't quite as aware. He's in there studying every day, and man, he doesn't want to wait around and to be great. He's trying hard now to pick up every drop of knowledge that he can. So excited about those two guys.
Y'all hit a home run last year in the portal receiver with Dre. Get Eric Singleton, get Horatio as well. Just what do you like with those guys, and adding on to that wide receiver room that y'all got?
Yeah, I think you look at Singleton's track record at this level. The things that you can do with him, I think, make us very versatile. When you combine him with Jackson, I think you've got some really good options there, and he can run. And I think you got now, two of the faster guys I've ever coached, truthfully, and he and Malcolm. And and Eric's really smooth, and he loves to work. And Horatio's got, great ball skills. And I don't know yet about his top end speed, but watching him, work out with the team, with Coach Dom, love his length, love his physicality. And I think we've added two really good guys to a very talented room already. Perry's looked good also, coming back. I think he's got a new renewed hunger.
Coach, talking about the running back room a little bit, obviously you lose Jarquez Hunter, but you got three guys in Cobb, Alston, and newcomer Darrell Robinson that probably could be feature backs. What's the challenge about getting them the ball, distributing carries and touches for three guys like that?
I don't know the answer. That's always a challenge. The running back room is one that, particularly when you have talented kids, and you look at Damari and Cobb the last couple of years, there's no question they've shown glimpses that they could have very good success running the football, but you had Jarquez that you wanted to get his 20 touches a game, and it's just, before you know it, the game's over and you didn't get the rotation in that you hoped. So that's very difficult, and it's hard. You'd love to say, because I do believe in all three of those guys, and then you throw Alvin in the mix, and hopefully we sign another one here shortly, and that's a good problem to have, but it certainly is an issue, because they want touches and they want to play. But I do think at this level, everyone's going to carry 5 tailbacks, and it's it's difficult to get all of them touches, but we do think that's a very talented and deep room.
Just how different this offensive line is compared to the one you took over a couple of years ago. You go into a spring now with some competition and guys that have played a lot of football before.
Yeah, excited about the portal pickups for sure, and then the young kids that we recruited, and really excited that Tutal got another year. He really needed another year. I mean, we've said that we wanted a red shirt in my first year, and we just had too many injuries and we couldn't afford to, because he needs that extra year with Dom. And gosh, he's played a lot of snaps for us and been very solid, and now you bring in 2 veteran tackles with him, along with the developing Tyler Johnson. I think we really have 4 quality bodies there that's a good problem to have. And we're going to mix and match and see, one of them maybe can play inside too to help us, and of course inside with Connor and Jeremiah and D Wade now being able to move in there, and he's getting bigger and looks more like a SEC guard, and Braden coming back too, has played significant minutes, and I think, and then add those young guys in there, we've got some good quality depth there.
Combs is one of our guys from Saraland. What are some of the things that you expect out of him, and what's a fair expectation for some of these guys that are receiving?
Yeah, I think expectations on these true freshmen are always difficult, and I tried to say that last year about our receivers, and it did stop it, but and they were right on most of it. But we're going to need some of those young kids in the D-line to play, and you talk about Antonio and Jared and Malik and Jordan. I think we signed Dorian, some really good, talented, true freshmen. Is it fair to ask them to play significant snaps? Malik Blockton played, probably 25% of the snaps in games last year as a true freshman, did just fine. I think more than that's probably a stretch of an imagination to think you could do that. But you never know. I mean, they get in there and compete this spring and prove they know what to do and how to control gaps. And I'm sure Dirk and them will find a way to play them.
You guys added successful guys to the NFL. What are the guys that are here on this field bring to that next level?
Well, I think Jarquez is a back that will be around for a long, long time. Will he ever be the feature back? I don't know, but I know that he does everything well, and he's going to play great special teams, and is going to be a great practice player and do everything the way they want it done. So I think he's got a bright future. J-Mac is a super talented that plays the game at a high level, needs to be in a 3-4 scheme, and curious to see. I saw some tape yesterday. It looked like they had him some at a Mike linebacker, and curious to see how, because his body looks like that. It's hard to project how he'll handle that. And obviously Eugene's motor is I think his size will be a question for people, and I can't answer that one. But I know that you're not going to coach a guy that plays any harder than he does. So excited for these three, and then I think we sent some coaches out yesterday to see Rivaldo and Peyton and Dre, and said Dre and Rivaldo have had a great week there also. So and Peyton's been solid. So excited for all those kids.
When do you guys start spring?
The week after spring break. So
later.
A little later.
Is that? I know it's something you said last year. Is that you feel like that's a good spot to be in?
Well, I wish we didn't have spring ball, but so I wish we had OTAs in June and let us put shoulder pads on there for 10 days when you have everybody there. And I wish they could just be with Dom and work and get their bodies in the best shape of their life, and us do individual and walkthroughs. Now, I'm not saying not do any ball, but no hitting. And I wish we would try that one spring and see if our kids aren't in a better shape, better health, and ready to roll come fall camp. Obviously, give us 10 days in June, and then get back in the weight room for July where we don't touch them. But it is a little later. I'm going a little shorter. I'm going 4 days a week, and one day is going to be truly NFL teach, no pads. So we'll go Tuesday, Thursday mornings, Friday afternoons will be that, and then Saturdays we'll get after pretty good.
You guys added Connor Gibbs to a group where you guys added Connor Gibbs to a group where you guys struggled a little bit last year. With the guys you have coming back at kicker, what's kind of the outlook going into the spring?
Well, I still believe in Alex. I mean, I still believe in Towns, and but we're prayerful and hopeful that Alex is going to be back too. He's had the surgery, and the doctors feel like that was the best option, and there's no question he's feeling better. And so, it'd be a good battle there for sure. And Ian's back too, so hopefully we have healthy bodies that will battle it out and see. And then excited, about getting another punter in, and John McGuire's a very talented kid also. And so, I think we're going to be solid again. But Oscar was really good, and so we'll see what happens there. But hopefully Towns is healthy again.
Coach, the narrative on the quarterbacks, everyone's talking about Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight, and I think that Ashton Daniels is getting slept on a little bit. You've got a kid that has played 2 years of Power 5 football as a starter as your backup. Talk about the luxury of that and how that's really a benefit that kind of people are overlooking.
Well, I wish I had him here this spring for sure, but we can't be, really excited about Ashton. You put the tape on, this guy can really, really run too, and I don't want to say this as a slap toward anyone, but he didn't have a lot around him, and he still produced significant yards. And I think he's going to come in with a mentality, and he's got, his knowledge of the game and his IQ is extremely high. And what a great kid and family he comes from. So I think we have three really, really talented guys.
All right, that again, Hugh Freeze, Auburn head coach, talking with some of the media there at the Senior Bowl. When we return here on Locked On SEC, we'll hear from the other side of the state, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer. That's coming your way here in just a second. Well, first, I want to remind you guys, today's episode brought to you by our friends at the Game Time app. And attending NFL playoff games is an experience like no other. The energy, the excitement, the connection with other fans is unmatched. You'll always remember the thrill of seeing your favorite team clinch a playoff win in person, and it's a memory you will never forget. And, of course, the Game Time app, making it easier for you to create those unforgettable memories with their new feature, Game Time Picks. It's going to filter out all the fluff and show you only the best deals on great seats so you can focus on what matters, and that is being there at the game. Of course, you can use Game Time Picks to grab tickets to playoff games, the big game down in New Orleans, the all-in pricing. It is a game changer. No surprise fees at checkout. Plus, knowing your tickets are backed by the Game Time guarantee will give you complete peace of mind. Of course, you could do the seat views, get a view from your seat before you buy, and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege. Get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I'm just looking at the app right now, and of course, you've got plenty of opportunities to get in to the big game over there on the Game Time app. Create an account, redeem our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, roll along here. Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Shout out to our everydayers. All right, continue some of our conversation from the Senior Bowl, and we switch gears. We did Auburn, and now we switch gears to talk Alabama. Kalen DeBoer getting a chance to redeem himself, I guess you would say, after building off of a 9-4 year one in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, he wants to do a lot better this year, and some of the things he talked with the media about yesterday, or Monday rather, was his star wide receiver, Ryan Williams, who he said, look, we saw what he could do during this season as a freshman. No, he has higher goals than what he accomplished this year. That's individually and as a team. And I'm really excited to see him take those next steps as a leader now. Like I said, Alabama going to look to bounce back as the Crimson Tide failed to reach at least 10 wins for the first time in 17 seasons. And Ryan Williams will be a big reason why they take that step forward. But let's let you hear what Kalen DeBoer had to say, speaking with the media. And this video courtesy of our buddy AP Stedham from the As We See It podcast. Here was Kalen DeBoer.
Tell your players about making professional football.
Well, it's their goal and their dreams, and a lot of why they come to Alabama. They just know that the development and the opportunities that exist there are going to help prepare them for the next level. And so, with all the tradition, history that surrounds Alabama players going on to the NFL, it's what they work for, and the thing that I have really enjoyed is the respect our guys have for each other and the path and the journey they're on in the midst of trying to keep the team first while you're trying to win championships.
You had a little while now to digest year one, or some of the overall takeaways and some of the things you're looking forward to this spring.
Yeah, we know that we need to be better, and that's the expectation I've had. From day one is that we perform at a championship level, and we certainly fell short of that. And whether you're 0-12 or 12-0 in a regular season, you're always going to really critique and be detailed on how you got to improve. And I appreciate what our staff is doing, what our players are doing to really look inward, work together, and continue to move forward. There's a lot of good things already happening. It already feels just a lot different internally as we turn the page into 2025 from the first team meeting, which was less than 2 weeks after our last bowl game. So just excited about what's happening, the work that's being put in. Haven't had a chance to be around the guys a lot just because we've been on the road recruiting, only get a few days here, especially as a head coach, the only time of the year now in January you can get out. But I'm really excited about the momentum we have with so many players choosing to continue their career here and build the stock that they have to get to the level that we're talking about going on the NFL.
What do you see from Tyson since patience, and how rare is that in today's world?
Yeah, you certainly appreciate what he's done. Continue to work on what he can control, and that's himself. Continue to build relationships to get ready for this chance, that he has right in front of him to not just step up as a leader, because I think he's been doing that, but to have that opportunity to step in and be the quarterback.
What do you like about Jason Jones to add him to the staff?
Yeah, a lot of things. There was a lot of it's actually kind of surprised me when brought his name up to a few members of the coaching staff. Didn't realize there was many connections, and when I dove into those connections a little bit more, just the same things kept coming out about who he is as a person, how great he is, whether it's it's all facets, the recruiting, the X's and O's, just with the player development piece. And then, him being local and someone who, is an alum, was an added bonus. It didn't have to be that way, but it certainly was something I know he was excited about, speaking on his behalf too there. But just a all-around just team player and everything, and we were looking for the right kind of combination as we work into the defensive backs and the coaching of that group as a whole, and love what we got there with Mo Lindquist and now Jason Jones.
Coach, how would you characterize your quarterback room right now?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is there's just not a lot of snaps that have been taken on a college football field, but I also feel like the skill sets there are there's very strong strengths that we have, and excited about them being similar in a lot of ways. Of course, everyone's different. They got the things that they bring to the table, but they all three just work together, and that's really led to workouts already that they're running that have sounds like they've been very efficient and got a lot of work done. But I'm excited about what they'll bring to the table. We'll get back on campus here in February and work with them.
Kalen, was there any conversation or consideration of adding Ryan Grubb to your staff?
Well, man, we go way back, so great friend of mine, and think the world of him as a football coach, obviously as a person too. And so I know he's working through his process just kind of after what last season brought. And so, just kind of seeing what he does there, and here for him whenever he needs me. That's always going to be the case.
How gratifying is it to get Deontay back, Mobile guy, and back there as a former captain, back for your defense?
Yeah, that was big. And first and foremost, we wanted what's best for Deontay, and unfortunately with the injury. And him, I think in his mind, in fact, I know in his mind, this was it, and he was excited about moving on to the next level. But life throws you curveballs, and, he got that. And, he just, the emotions of the injury and things like that kind of let him kind of work through it. And I think he just really realized that the best course of action, what's best for him, was to come back. And that, of course, is exciting for us. You get a team captain, a guy who's so well respected in the locker room, and well respected by the fan base, and just that type of leader at the linebacker position, the guy who makes the calls, just that familiarity with everything, whether it's us with him or him with his teammates. It allows us, again, another one of those things that helps us hit the ground running here going into the season.
Another local guy, Ryan Williams. So as you step back, how do you sort of assess his first season and where he has to go in year two?
Well, a year ago at this time, we were pretty excited about the commitment, right? And that's what it was, that he had made to come play football at Alabama. And you got into the summer and you're like, wow, this is fun working with him. And then we saw what he could do in the season. And I know that he's got much higher goals than what he accomplished this year, and that's individually and as a team. And I'm really excited about him taking the next steps as a leader now. And he's going to take care of his business and do what he needs to do, and we're going to be there to help him refine the things that are going to make him, the best of the best. But he's a team player through and through. We saw that all season long. He and Germ kind of coming back as the leaders of the receiving corps. I'm excited about what they bring from a mindset. When your best players are, your best people and highest character guys, it's exciting what it can become. And so we have that at the receiving core. We've added some guys too, with the early enrollees, the newcomers. And so I really like the way that group's going to come along under their guidance and leadership.
Kalen, how have you seen your recruiting approach change this time around with the year in the system and knowing what Alabama's all about? How have you seen it, I guess, become more powerful, as you cross the country kind of pitching Alabama?
Yeah, well, I think I feel really good about what we did, whether it's with the high school class or filling in some gaps with our portal. And I think the other piece is just the retention of our own team, and feel good about where we're at there. We have a couple spots we could fill, just a few as the rest of the spring, summer comes along. But we always are going to tweak things and find ways to make it better. But I like, considering it was the first year, what we accomplished with the high school guys. They are in there working. They're what we thought they would be, whether it's athletically or just their character, and then the work ethic that comes along. But I think for us, it's now that we've been here a year, continue to build the relationships locally, in-state, regionally, to where we can continue to take advantage of that. And we had relationships that are just all across the country. We'll continue to do that, because we want the best of the best. We need the best players to come in here. That's what Alabama's done in the past. That's what we'll continue to do. But I think the relationships locally, and the times are limited. The times have changed about with the times that coaches can get on the road. It used to be once a week for really 6 weeks if you counted December and January, and they really only get 2 chances really all through January. And so we got to be really efficient. That's why we're not here very long even today. So there's a couple days left of the contact period that we're going to take advantage of.
Last two.
AFCA came out with a recommendation, one window for, I think, 10 days for the transfer portal. Is that something you're in favor of? Because it seems like having the spring one on top of that puts a pretty heavy burden on you guys' staff.
Yeah, I think a smaller window and one window would certainly be ideal, and that's just, more of an understanding of what your roster is going to be at this time of the year is what we all want. And just taking the gray out of the confusion out of it for us, for our players, on what's ahead. And, let's get the development process of your team, of these guys and the work that we can put in. Let's get it all aligned. So, certainly in favor of that.
Although you don't have the final say, what is your preference on playing a Power 4 teams, continuing that trend? In non-conference games?
In non-conference, yeah. I think as long as we play, it depends on how many conference games you are playing, and we're at 8 right now. And so, this next year with Florida State as the opener, and then a couple weeks later with Wisconsin, it's a good competitive schedule. That's what we want leading into conference play, and so that's that's the way we want it. We want to be challenged and be tested going into SEC action.
Thank you,
All right,
Coach.
thank you, Coach.
You bet. Thank you, guys. Roll Tide.
That again, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer at the Senior Bowl, and that video from our buddy AP Stedham from the As We See It podcast. Still more to come here on the Locked On Podcast Network and Locked On SEC. More coming to you right after this. All right, roll along here, Locked On SEC. And before we get out of here today, we did want to bring you some SEC news going on around the conference. So let's dive into it with some tidbits happening. We start over at Georgia as Jaden Rashada, former Georgia quarterback and former Florida signee. He entered the transfer portal during the fall-winter window, but don't expect him to be picking a new team anytime soon. According to On3 Sports, Rashada is planning to spend the next few months training and focusing on the spring window for finding his next school. It's another twist in a career path that has been quite a journey so far for Rashada. He was the number 7 quarterback and number 84 prospect in the 24/7 Sports Composite class of 2023. Had a dramatic recruitment where he flipped his commitment from Miami to Florida, ended up beginning his college football career elsewhere, and signing with Florida, Rashada asked for his release, landed at Arizona State, and then was brought up a lawsuit against Florida coach Billy Napier, among others. for a failed NIL deal. He was able to apply redshirt to the 2024 season, so that gave him 3 full seasons of eligibility starting in 2025, and ended up at Georgia this past offseason, but was behind Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton on the depth chart. So we'll see where Rashada lands, but yeah, not in school currently, just keeping himself ready to go for when he picks his next school. Over at LSU, they're adding a couple of assistants to their coaching staff. Former Florida State offensive coordinator Alex Atkins reportedly going to join the LSU staff as a tight ends coach. He was a Seminoles offensive coordinator from 22 to 24. Obviously, this last season didn't go very well when they were like 1-9. He fired a bunch of the assistants, but he was part of the undefeated regular season in 2023. So LSU was looking at an assistant under Joe Sloan, with Slade Nagel leaving for the Houston job. So Alex Atkins sounds like he will be the guy. Also, LSU adding Louisiana native Lance Guidry to their staff. Guidry was the defensive coordinator at Miami in 2023 and 2024 before being fired at the end of last season. And it sounds like the 53-year-old will go join LSU in some capacity under defensive coordinator Blake Baker. And his defense at Miami ranked 68th in the country last year, allowing just over 25 points per game. But some people think he is a good assistant coach and good defensive mind. And so if he's going to be there as an analyst for LSU, that's even better for them. Over at LSU, at Florida, they got some good news on Monday regarding 5-star signee Dallas Wilson, talented wide receiver out of the Tampa area. He has reportedly completed his coursework in time to meet Florida's enrollment deadline. There were some concerns over whether he would be academically eligible in time for Monday, but those were put to rest. The 5-star recruit, number 5 wide receiver in the class of 2025, and the number 3 prospect from the state, is officially in with the Florida Gators. He signed with Oregon during the early signing period, but requested his release and then signed with Florida on December 22nd. So the Gators have 2 5-stars in this class of 2025. Currently, school's class rated as the number 10 class in the country. Some big-time signees. Over at Texas, they picked up a transfer commitment from former Ohio State D lineman Hiro Kanu. He is going to transfer from Ohio State as a national champion over to Texas. And is that awkward? He was on the opposing sideline in the semifinal Cotton Bowl game, but now he will switch over to the Longhorns. His 14 tackles and a sack over his past 2 seasons. Looking for some more playing time. He played 123 snaps for the Buckeyes this year, and we'll see what he does. But Texas adding 5 transfers so far this offseason. We'll see what Kanu does for them. Over at Oklahoma, they picked up a 2026 commitment from 4-star wide receiver Daniel Odom. Blue chip wide receiver from California made the big announcement through On Three's Hayes Fawcett. He's a 4-star, number 25 player in the state of California, number 33 wide receiver, and a top 200 prospect for the class of 2026. So congrats to Brent Venables on that pickup. And that is the latest going on around the conference. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. Keep coming back and checking us out each and every day. And for your second listen, check out some of our other great podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network. Just pick your favorite SEC school, search Locked On, and you will find it, whether it's Luke Robinson with Locked On Bama, of course, Clint Chamberlain, Locked On Bulldogs. We've got you covered with just about every SEC school out there. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. Come on back and see us tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC. Talking all things Southeastern Conference football.